It has been a wild few weeks for AI filmmaking. We have brand new video generation tools, a music tool that creates absolute bangers, and a new motion tool inside of Runway that is indispensable. This is your AI film news of the week. I want to kick things off by talking about Midjourney 6. Midjourney 6 is a notable improvement from Midjourney 5. Now, you don't have the ability to use the online interface just yet. That is in pre-release. But the results that we've been seeing from Midjourney are absolutely amazing. Rory was able to use Runway and Midjourney 6 to create a short film that's all about these puppies getting adopted. It's really cute and the quality is really, really good. Now, I saw an incredible visual effects demo using Midjourney 6 that you really need to check out. It's from Marshall Artwork, and essentially he creates kind of this World War II battle scene using Pika Labs and Midjourney 6. Pika is traditionally better at doing visual effect shots than some of the other video generation tools. I highly recommend checking out the piece. I really do think that it illustrates the future of where visual effects is heading. We also saw some cool examples of fashion design using Midjourney version 6 as well. And Summer AI put together a few images that we thought were really fantastic. So long story short, Midjourney 6 is incredibly powerful and it's actually very easy to use. All you have to do is hop over into Midjourney, type in / and go to settings and click enter. When you're inside of your settings, just make sure that you have the Midjourney 6 Alpha selected and you're good to go. Any image that you create now will utilize Midjourney 6. Now, I should note that Midjourney 6 is slightly limited at this point, so you don't have the ability to have more control over your upscaling or in painting and some of those advanced features that you may have come to love using one of the previous versions of Midjourney. So it's kind of a give and take at this point, but I do recommend checking it out. And while we're talking about Midjourney, I want to share some very exciting news. Inside of their office hours, their CEO announced that they are actually training their own video model, and it should be ready in just a few months. So again, this is going to be another video generation tool that begins to pop up on the market. Midjourney is well known for having a very high bar when it comes to quality, so I expect that this video generation model is going to be very promising. The team at Leonardo also came out with a brand new video generation tool that gives Runway and Pika Labs a run for their money. Let's take a look at how to use it. So I'm inside of Leonardo here and I've generated some images, and whenever you're ready to basically convert that image into video, all you have to do is scroll over the image and click this generate motion video button. Now, I've done this for this samurai project here, and let's take a look at a high-res version of the results. You can see that there's a lot of consistency in the clothing and the character. He kind of stays together throughout the entire length of the video, which is really interesting, and that really dynamic camera movement looks fantastic. Now, I wanted to compare this to other AI generation tools, so I took the same image, dropped it into Pika Labs, and here was the result. So you can see that there's a little more movement on his hair, his clothes has a lot of movement in it, but it also isn't quite realistic. It seems like there's a little too much movement. And I did the same thing inside of Runway, so let's take a look at that. So you can see that there's some really big, interesting movements, but it does seem like his clothing begins to break down over time, and it does have that runway flickering when it comes to the exposure. But again, you'll probably want to use different tools for different use cases. I should note that Leonardo currently only animates footage that was created from an image inside of their platform, so you won't be able to upload other images from image generation tools like Midjourney. Now, I want to do a quick little game with you. I'm going to show you 3 different clips. I want you to tell me which one was Runway, which one was Pika Labs, and which one was Leonardo. So here's the first one. Okay, don't know what's going on with those eyes there, but they are not staying locked into the same location. Here's the second one. And the third one. We'll let you know which one is the winner below this video in 3 days. And the first person to post the winner will win some swag from Curious Refuge. And while we're talking about Leonardo, I want to point out that they have a real-time generation tool that is in early access. So I don't think everyone has access to this just yet, but it's really interesting. So the cool thing is you can just type in text and it's just like Stable Diffusion Turbo. It will create your imagery basically in real time. So we'll say a Nike shoe with red laces in a yellow room. And there you go. So the cool thing is you can adjust some of these sliders here to change the overall style. So if you wanted to look like a coloring book, we can just turn it up and boom, we have a coloring book basically in real time. Now, the other interesting thing is you have the ability to change the overall styles using some of the presets from Leonardo, which are one of the things that makes Leonardo so special. So I'll go in here and instead of dynamic, I'm just going to change this to cinematic to get a cinematic result. And you can see that, we have the bokeh, we have the color grading that's just on par with it being cinematic. Now, obviously there are some issues with this. Those laces, I don't really know where they're coming from. They're just like laying on the ground or something like that. But it is cool to see that image generation is getting much faster. And this could be a helpful tool, especially if you need to just have quick iterations of your images and you don't need the highest quality possible. Now, moving over to Runway, the team at Runway released a magazine that will actually hit shelves pretty darn soon. It's called Telescope, and it just has really good write-ups and artwork featuring fantastic artists from around the generative AI space. It seems like an incredible magazine, and I love that the edges of the page actually create a design that's very cool. And I should note that when you scrub to the very bottom of the Telescope magazine page, it says that you're not allowed to use the magazine to basically train AI algorithms, which I thought was a little ironic, but not throwing shade. It's going to be an amazing magazine. And while we're talking about Runway, they released a brand new feature that is incredibly helpful for creating ambience. Essentially, they are now allowing you to create ambient motion using their motion brush tool. Let me show you how to use it. So all you have to do is go to the Runway site, click login, and go to start with image. Now you can just drag and drop an image or select one from your assets. I have one uploaded, so I'll just go ahead and select it. So now we can go in and animate this image. So I'll go to motion brush here, and just like you're normally used to using Runway, all you have to do is change the brush size and then just start painting in the area that you want to animate. So I'm just going to paint over, let's say, this grassy area over here because we want the grass to kind of like blow in the wind. And I also want, let's say, the waves to animate. So I'll just go ahead and very quickly and loosely paint over the waves in any part of the scene that I would want extra movement. Now, the cool thing is, in the past, whenever you worked with the motion brush tool, essentially you were only able to adjust the horizontal axis or vertical axis and proximity. And so you couldn't have elements that were kind of moving in different directions. And it was just a little more tricky to get fine-tuned custom controls from Runway. But that's no longer the case. Now we can actually go in here and adjust this new ambient slider to adjust the amount of ambient motion inside of our scene. So I'm going to turn this up, we'll say to about, like 6, and we'll go ahead and save, and let's go ahead and generate. So let's take a look at our results. So now you can see we have this ambient scene, and it looks pretty dang realistic. The waves look real, the grass blowing looks real. If you told me that this was not real, I would have a hard time believing you because it really does look convincing. So Runway did an amazing job with this feature, and you can test it out immediately. Runway also came out with the ability to change the aspect ratio of the footage that you create using text to video. So again, this is only for text to video. It doesn't work if you upload an image just yet. So all you have to do is go to start with text from the Runway home screen. For our example, we'll say bioluminescent plants in an alien forest, and you'll see this handy little button on the top right. All you have to do is click on that, and now you can select the different aspect ratios that you want it to be. So it goes as tall as 9:16 for social media videos, and as wide as 21:9, which is very helpful if you're working on a cinematic project. So all you have to do is select the aspect ratio that you are looking for and click generate. I have a few different examples of generations that I created using text to video inside of Runway in various aspect ratios. So we have this 1:1 version, widescreen version, this taller version, we have a super skinny social media version, a 3:2 version, and finally, our 21:9 cinematic aspect ratio. I should also note that our AI filmmaking course starts up on January 9th. We have a ton of students joining us for this very first session of the year, If you decide to join us this session, you'll be learning alongside visual effects supervisors and some of the most talented artists in the world. Enrollment is still open and we'd love to have you join. Pika Labs also announced that they have officially released Pika 1.0 to everyone, so there's no longer a restriction on who is actually allowed to join the application. You can start messing around with Pika immediately. I actually have a few different examples that I have to show you that were created using Pika Labs. The first is this image of this kind of Christmas mouse talking. We also have this Christmas tree sparkling, these animated characters talking, the same Christmas mouse that like apparently is a present of some kind, and then this raccoon talking. So as you can see, Pika Labs is really, really good at animation. Now, is there room to improve? Absolutely. But it does seem like AI generated animation is really just around the corner, and core AI algorithms like the one that Pika Labs is developing will be some of the pioneering technology behind this new transition. There's also a brand new voice cloning tool that you have to check out. It's called Open Voice and it's completely free. Basically, they're trying to build themselves as an AI voice cloner that can clone a voice using only a few seconds of reference audio. We actually talked about a tool like this about a month ago, but this one has a few notable advantages. So all you have to do is upload some reference audio. I have 12 seconds of reference audio. Let's go ahead and listen to it. This is my voice being recorded directly onto my computer. Now, I don't know if this is going to produce a very good vocal clone, but I'm very curious to hear the results. I'm curious as well. So let's see what we get here. So there's some default text in here. I'll go ahead and leave that alone. We'll click agree and send. So let's go ahead and listen to the result.
He hoped there would be stew for dinner, turnips and carrots and bruised potatoes and fat mutton pieces to be ladled out in thick, peppered flour-fattened sauce.
Okay, so the model's not fantastic at this point, and I don't think I could use that audio in any sort of professional context. But this tool is really interesting for one specific feature that I think is really maybe the future of voice acting. And it's the ability to actually change the style of the delivery. So we have this style drop down here, and we can actually change the way in which the person is delivering the voice. So we'll say in this instance now, I want to whisper. So we'll change it to whispering, and now let's listen to the brand new result.
He hoped there would be stew for dinner, turnips and carrots and bruised potatoes and fat mutton pieces to be ladled out in thick, peppered flour-fattened sauce.
So you can see it's produced some pretty creepy whispering audio, but I think it really does highlight the future of voice modulation and updates that will probably be happening in some of the larger core tools like 11 Labs in the coming months. So you know how whenever you are generating AI images, sometimes the fingers get kind of messed up? Well, there's a brand new tool to actually fix that problem. So for example, here's an image that I have from Midjourney 6. Again, Midjourney 6 is the latest and greatest model. And you can see that I prompted a hand pointing at a castle, and the hand looks like basically someone was holding a New Year's Eve firecracker a little too long. So the new tool is called Hand Refiner. It's basically a node that can be integrated into Comfy UI. And basically it changes hands to make them more like regular hands as opposed to AI generated hands. Some of the results look pretty darn good. So I imagine that while right now you may have to use an external tool like this to stabilize some of the fingers and appendages and things that kind of get messed up, pretty soon this technology will just be natively living inside of our image generation tools, and the consistency with the photorealism will be a lot easier to create. And of course, if you're using Midjourney 5, you can just inpaint the hand and change it if there's anything wrong with the image that you have created. I also want to say thank you so much to Forbes magazine for mentioning our AI holiday film competition and showcasing the winners. It's really cool to see some exposure on these competitions. We have a brand new one dropping this month that will be our biggest one yet. So be sure to come back here to get the latest news on when that competition drops. There was also a white paper that came out from China that was basically wave to lip, but with a few more advanced features. Now, this isn't currently available in a very easy to use format, so we're not gonna show you exactly how to use it in this specific video, but I should note that there are some really interesting takeaways. Number one is simply the fact that the lips look much more realistic than some of the other tools that are out there. Number two is it actually is similar to Lalamoo, where it can take reference footage and change the lips and basically make it to where you can have the subject say whatever you need it to say, which is very helpful for doing animation and lip dubbing and things like that. And it also has the ability to adjust the emotion of the subject using reference imagery. So a lot of very powerful tools that could be developed from this underlying technology. We're really just scratching the surface here, but it seems like it's going to be very helpful, especially when it's integrated with some of the other third-party tools that are out there. We also came across a really cool tool called Motion GPT. It basically allows you to type in a prompt and see some sort of motion from your subject. Now, the thing that makes this special is the fact that it takes place in a GPT chat environment. So let me show you how it works. Basically, all you have to do is go to the link below this video, and you can scroll down to the bottom and just type in the type of animation that you want to see. So because the NFL postseason is just around the corner, we'll say a man throws a football. And there's two different visualization methods. Basically, you have the slow version, which is a more photorealistic version like this example here. And you can do the fast version, which is more of a wireframe model that produces the results much faster. You can pick whichever one you want, just completely depends on the project that you are working on. So for this instance, I will go ahead and select slow, and all you have to do is click enter and it will generate your results. Now, it does take some time, so I'm not gonna wait on it here, but I do want to point you over to a Twitter post that you'll find below this video. It basically has a bunch of examples that people have generated using text prompts, and the results look really, really realistic. It's hard to believe that these were generated entirely from prompts alone, and it does showcase that the future of animation will more than likely have a text-based prompt experience. There's also another tool called MoMask that produces a very similar result. You can see some of the examples over on X as well. We have someone kicking, and the cool thing is you can take all of the data from both of these tools and easily apply it to a 3D character inside a 3D application like Blender to create the animation. So we're already seeing some 3D generated animations that look pretty darn good. Now, obviously there's room to improve, but in many instances, you may just want some quick spec animation and you don't want to go in and super refine it or anything like that. So the results you get from here could be a useful tool in the future. There's also a white paper published for a brand new tool called Dream Tuner. Now, this tool is really interesting because it allows you to basically train a custom model from a single image. And that is a big difference from some of the other AI model training tools that require quite a few images to train their model. Now you can basically train a model on one image and create the same subject in multiple images in different styles. And whenever this is integrated into some of the more advanced tools, it's going to be a lot easier to get character consistency, which will be fantastic for working on anime projects, live action projects. And they also showed an example of product photography where they basically trained it on a single image and they were able to prompt that same product in multiple images. So that's going to have huge implications for the future of advertising as well. There's also a brand new tool that's very similar to Runway Gen 1. Basically, you can upload reference footage and it will change it into a different style. Now, that style tends to be best whenever you are going for an anime result, but it can do different styles like 3D animation and things like that. So here's just a very quick example from the internet. Basically, we have this reference footage of a man in the UFC.
He's out. Brock Lesnar is the undisputed UFC heavyweight champion.
Okay, so you get the idea. And now we can check out the anime result.
He's out. Brock Lesnar is the undisputed UFC heavyweight champion.
So you can see that there's a lot more consistency with the overall image that is created using this tool. There's not a lot of the breakdown in the lines, and it just kind of retains the similarity throughout the entire shot, which is very powerful. I'd also like to let you know that we released a brand new AI filmmaking jobs board over on Curious Refuge. Basically, we've curated a list of AI filmmaking jobs that pop up around the industry, and we wanted to give you a helpful resource that you can check on a weekly basis to see about opportunities that may be a good fit for your skill set. We'll keep this page updated with job posts as we see them, but I should note that it's a pretty big year for folks to be AI informed. I read a report that basically said that researchers were making upwards of $1 million a year who are working on AI projects. Now, as an artist, can you expect to make that much? Absolutely not. But it is interesting to see that some of these more tech-forward jobs are paying more. We've seen the same thing be true in the past with visual effects artists, and now it seems to be also true with AI artists. So if you're looking for a pay bump as an artist, I highly recommend fine-tuning and getting better at using artificial intelligence in your work. The CEO of Mistral AI, which is a large language model developed by a company based out of France, said that in 2024, they would be releasing a model that is just as good as Chat GPT 4. So it's really helpful to see that there are more competitors entering the marketplace and basically forcing these tools to get better and better. And speaking of large language models, the president and co-founder of OpenAI said that 2024 was going to be a breakthrough year for artificial intelligence capacity, safety, and general positivity related to the tools. Now, it's really interesting to hear that 2024 will be a breakout year because 2023 definitely felt like a breakout year. So the innovations that they see behind the scenes at OpenAI must be pretty darn impressive, and it seems like all of these tools and all of this progress is moving absolutely exponentially. So it's going to be a wild 2024. Be sure to subscribe if you want to stay up to date on the latest tools and trends. In the world of AI generated music, there's a tool that has been on the market for a while now. It's called Suno, and you may have seen some of the results from people using the tool to create AI generated music. Now, the results up to this point have been really interesting, but I think that they updated their algorithm recently because some of the results that we've seen over the last week or so have been fantastic. So it's really easy to use. You can just go in here. I have a trap beat with brass, lyrics about AI filmmaking, and click create. The results are generated in about 5 seconds. Let's listen to them.
Step into the future, artificial landscapes. AI filmmaking, it's a digital escape. Brass pipes blame, trap beats got me grooving. Can't predict the storyline, but it's always moving.
So it's absolutely wild to use this tool to create music for your projects. Pretty soon, AI generated music will be similar to AI generated photos, which is to say, almost indistinguishable from the quality that you would see actually shot out inside the real world. So it will be really interesting to see how tools like this get integrated into creative pipelines as they progress in the coming months. There was also a white paper that was created by the University of Texas and Meta that essentially takes footage and allows you to create a different style of that footage in a very stable and consistent format. So there's a few different examples that they have on their website. Of course, they have the anime style, but you can also change things into different examples like a Greek statue, or you can convert one animal into a different animal, or video footage into pixel art. It seems like the underlying algorithm that's powering this tool is a little more stable than some of the other user-facing tools like Runway Gen 1. And now it's time for our AI Films of the Week. So I want to kick things off with this film called The End of the World. Andrey put this together, and essentially it's a retelling of how a really big plague came into the world. There are zombies, the color grading's really interesting, and they have some really cool video editing techniques that go into it. So I definitely recommend checking out this film. I also want to point out an incredible project from Dave Clark that went viral online. It seems like basically everything that Dave puts out goes viral on the internet. It's basically a spec ad for an Adidas commercial, and the quality is really fantastic. He says he put it together during a coffee break, so I think it really does show how you can use artificial intelligence in an advertising context. The next film that I want to point out was created by a Curious Refuge student who just so happens to also be on the Curious Refuge team. Ike Wagh is our community manager at Curious Refuge, and just in his free time, he decided to create a bank heist film. It's called Loose Ends, and it has a fantastic story that really has a lot of the story elements that you'd want to see in a fantastic short film. So Ike did an amazing job on this project. I highly recommend checking it out. And our student project of the week comes from JC, who put together this poem for a project called A Lakeside Spell. The assignment basically was to create a short film that has a narrator reciting a poem. And the curation is really beautiful. It's a very moving piece that really showcases their curation skills and their ability to tell a story through images and video. Thank you so much for watching this week's episode of AI Film News. Of course, if you want to get the latest AI filmmaking news delivered directly to your inbox, you can subscribe to our email list at Curious Refuge. And of course, you can subscribe here on YouTube to get AI film news each and every week. Thank you so much for being an awesome member of this community. It's going to be a fantastic year. We'll see you next time.